Hey, what's up guys? If you're generating or buying leads, then you're probably wondering how can you make your investment or return on investment more significant than what you're currently seeing. So today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And first, let's talk about why you should actually listen to this random guy talking on the internet about how you can make more money with your leads. Well, first of all, currently I have a business doing about $300,000 per month, every single month, and all that revenue comes strictly and only from leads. So that's one thing. The other thing is, in my first year in business, about 3 years ago, I actually made $1.2 million selling leads to people. So I've got a lot of experience with online leads, generating them, closing them, appointment setting them, selling them, and pretty much all of the above. So now that we got that covered, how can you maximize your return on investment when you're generating your own leads or buying leads from somebody? Now, one of the biggest factor is actually how you manage those leads, because it's one thing to have really high, strong quality leads, but a lot of times that's out of your control. So today we're only going to talk about, once the lead is generated, how can you maximize your return on investment? So there's a couple things. We're going to talk about the dial priority concept. We're going to talk about the standard KPIs that you can expect. We're also going to talk about why you probably are not meeting those KPIs if you're watching this video. We're going to talk about how to text leads, how to email leads, and we're going to talk about how to outbound call leads so that you can maximize the amount of people that you're actually going to talk to. So that's pretty much it for today. Let's first talk about the dial priority concept. So this is something a lot of people get wrong, and the number one factor that is going to, determine the quality of your leads is how long ago they were generated. So if a lead was generated a minute ago and you call him, it doesn't really matter how high quality the marketing is. That person is going to remember, is going to admit that they did that, versus, that same lead 10 days after is probably going to be a really shitty lead. So you want to make sure, first of all, that you're always dealing with the freshest leads first, and that you're always dialing your best and highest quality leads first, which are going to be your most recent leads. So for our appointment setting team, this is the flow, this is the order that we ask them to call the leads in. First, you're going to call your right now leads. Those are the leads as soon as they come in, within the first 30 seconds, 60 seconds, you want to call those people, if not within the first 5 minutes. Of course, if you're the only person managing your leads, that's probably not going to be a possibility, but that's an ideal that you try to achieve as often as possible. Now, secondly, as soon as a lead comes in, very important that they receive an SMS and ideally an email right away to confirm that they submitted their request, for example, for life insurance or for a business opportunity. And at that point, that's going to create a first contact with them. Those people that are going to reply to those messages throughout the day, when they see it, when they confirm, that's your next best quality lead, because those leads are actually responsive. So that's going to be your number 2. And then number 3 is going to be all your today's leads. So there's the right now leads, the SMS response leads, and thirdly, it's your today leads, all the leads you've generated today so far. After that, you're going to go yesterday's leads, 3 days back, 7 days back, 14 days back, and that's going to be the order for you guys. Now, we don't actually dial our leads 14 days after they're generated, and I know that sounds terrible, but the main reason why is because we do an incredibly good job at calling those people in the first 14 days. So if they go through that process and they don't respond, we pretty much let them go at that point. So what's like our dialing cadence, or what's our KPI as far as how many dials we're going to do for a lead? It's extremely simple, and I would suggest you just copy and paste exactly what we do, because it works. We have great success with online leads. First, as soon as the lead comes in, try to give it a first dial. And anytime you dial your leads, you always want to do a double dial. So that means if I'm dialing with my phone, I dial them, no answer or voicemail, put my phone down, pick it right back up, dial it again. And that's, oftentimes gonna bypass their voicemail. Like if they're on silence, that's gonna bypass that and ring their phone. So they're actually way more likely to answer if they're used to their phone always being on silence, and now they actually hear it for the first time. So that's gonna help with your pickup rates for sure. Now, we did that first call. Within the first 2 to 3 hours, you wanna do another 2 to 3 calls. I know that might sound crazy, it might sound like, that's way too much, but that's how you get your best quality leads, because you're talking to a lot of people that very first day that they opt in your ads or that lead was generated. Now here's the trick. You're not gonna use the same phone 4 times. So what I would recommend is you use a dialer. I mean, we've used the Go High Level dialer. It's like the most basic one. Would not recommend if you can afford a better dialer like a Kixi or a Hot Prospector dialer. Those are gonna be great because you can have what we call local presence numbers. So if I dial a 418 number, it's gonna appear my number as a 418. So that person is gonna think you're like in the same neighborhood or area code, so they're more likely to pick up. So now that you do, 3 to 4 calls on that lead, the first day they come in, you're gonna talk to a lot of people on the very first day. You're gonna be able to qualify them right away. So that's pretty cool. After that, we usually call them once a day for the first 7 days and once every couple of days for the second 7 days that they're generated. So that's just our framework, and it works good for us. Now, the other thing is, what kind of KPI can you expect when you're calling leads? So let's talk about that. What we're seeing right now is for every 100 dials that our appointment setters are gonna do, they're gonna get about 15 to 20% answers. So I do 100 dials, 15 people answer. And out of those, 5% of every dial is a qualified answer. So if I do 100 dials, I get 15 people that answer, I get 5 people that are well qualified. So it's 1 in 3 people that I talk to, pretty much. That's what we're seeing right now. And out of those 5 people that we talk to that are qualified, we're able to usually schedule 4 on the calendar. So right now, every time we do 100 dials, we get 4 well-qualified booked appointments on our calendar. So those are numbers that you might want to compare to. And what we define as a qualified booked call on the calendar, that's also important, and a qualified answer is someone who actually has a need. So they're actually, they requested on the ad, for example, life insurance, and they know they have a need for life insurance. And when we're on the phone, that's very clear to them also. They're open to help about fulfilling that need. And lastly, they have the money or resources to actually fulfill that need. So those are the 3 main characteristics that we're looking at when pre-qualifying leads before we book them on the calendar. So I'm gonna do a whole separate video about appointment grading and pre-qualifying appointments to make sure you're maximizing your time on the Zoom calls, on the Teams, on the phone with high quality people rather than just anybody who's willing to book on your calendar. It's another big difference. And usually 20% of our sets close. So if we set 10 appointments, we get two people that close. That also factors in the no-show rate. So if we set 10 people, maybe we only get 6 that show up and 2 that close, because we have a 30% close rate on calls that actually show up. So that's only a 20% close rate on calls that are booked, right? And another way to look at this is we need to do about 125 dials to make 1 sale. That's pretty crazy, but it is what it is. So yeah, let me circle back here and make sure I've given you guys all the information I wanted to give you guys today. So we talked about the dial priority concept, the KPIs for the client acquisition. We talked about, let's talk about why you're not actually meeting your KPIs. What are the top 3 reasons why people don't actually meet their KPIs? All right, why you don't meet KPI? First reason is you probably don't have enough leads coming in the day So you don't actually see the results. A lot of people underestimate how many leads you need to actually make some significant revenue. So if you're buying like 20 leads or 30 leads at a time, like honestly, that's pretty much pointless. If you're not having 300 to 400 leads per month minimum per person, like if you're a single agent doing this full time and you don't have a minimum of 300 to 400 quality, leads that are exclusive and generated specifically for what you have to sell per month, then you just don't have enough leads if that's your main source of client acquisition. And I would say for us, we usually generate 600 to 800 leads per agent per month to be able to do the kind of numbers we're doing. So 300 to 400 is actually less than what we're doing, just so you guys know. In doubt, always generate more. And you might be wondering like, hey, it's so expensive to buy leads. Well, that's why you don't buy leads. That's why you generate your own leads, right? Reason number 2 why your leads are not qualified is because you're just not fast enough on the phone. You don't dial those people quick because you're busy, because you're lazy, whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. It affects the outcome the same exact way. So if you're not dialing your leads, then, that's going to happen to you. And reason number 3 is because people are not making the dials. It's kind of like you want to run a marathon, but you only go running, once a month. Of course, you're going to get better results if you go running every day or 5 days a week. So it's the same thing with anything in life. The volume is going to bring you the results. So, this is really common. I work with actively about 700 insurance agents. And I can tell you guys that 90% of them don't make 50 dials a day. They just don't. The ones that do succeed hard, they make about 100 to 200 dials a day. If that's what it takes and you're serious about your goals, and go and do it. You can. There's nothing stopping you. What a lot of people do is rather than trying to fix the real issue, which is they don't get their dials in, and they don't actually get better at appointment setting, then they try to blame it on the lead source, they try to blame it on the marketing. And you can blame it on the marketing for a very long time. But it's not going to change the end outcome. What's the big driver is how quick you are at calling your leads, how many leads you get, and how many dials you do to contact these people. So that's pretty much what I've got for you guys. In a different video also, we're going to talk about our exact, texting script, email script that we send our leads, and what kind of nurture campaigns we got going on, evergreen, to make sure that we, still try to minimize the amount of dials we have to do, because obviously nobody likes to dial people. Like, there's no one passionate about dialing leads. So if you can have a great workflow, a great SMS and email sequence, and you can eliminate 40% of the dials you'd have to do, everybody's happy about that. So we're going to talk about that in a different video, probably in the next upcoming days. So we do a daily vlog on this channel. If you guys like that kind of content and you think that can actually help you increase your revenue, then definitely subscribe to this channel and tune in every day for our daily vlog. Other than that, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here, and this was Pavel Boissonneau.